Hello, Internet, and welcome to a salty, salty Christmas. In fact, I'm going to start this off with a alternative Christmas rhyme. 'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The stockings were hung on the chimney with care, in hope that a pirate soon would be there. The children were nestled all snug in their beds, while visions of salt packs danced in their heads. And Mo in his glitter and Liz in her cap had just settled in for an overdue nap, when out of the rain there emerged such a clatter, and they both sprang up to see what was the matter. When what to their wondrous eyes should appear but a ship full of salt, and pirates they fear. Welcome to the first of some holiday fun here at Clop Mom. Today is exciting. We are officially doing a free giveaway on Amazon of NACL, Eye of the Storm, our big pirate novel full of salt and more salt and such salty piles of salt. I have with me the lovely E. Sands, my intrepid co-author, and we are going to do some readings. We're going to answer some questions about NACL, if anyone has them, and going to get into some mischief. So, Erica, I know you have a section of the book that you've been dying to read, and I want to hear it because I haven't actually reread the book since I finished editing it. Because, dear God, did I never want to look at those pages again?
Well, I enjoy those pages, so in the hopes that I won't give away too many spoilers, we're going to be picking out some parts that we just thought would be fun to read. So I will be starting with Chapter 6, Dodging White Sails, Salome, Day 4. Over several hours of racing across the waves with white sails on their heels, Salome was forced, again, to admire her brother's work. Not that their uncle and some of their cousins couldn't dance circles around the corporation, but they weren't as good at it as Sel and Kuma were. Most of that came from the ship Kumanu had turned the Sahima's legacy into since Salome had taken command. That was why they took the riskier embargo assignments, because she, Kuma, this crew, and this ship could handle anything the corporation threw at them. Hell's bells, the legacy seemed to be able to handle anything the world threw at her, honestly. Be it a storm, a fleet of corporate ships, or a simple salt run. Sahima's legacy was on top of it. Sal knew Kuma didn't like to take credit for preferring to credit it to Salome's ability as a captain, but she knew the truth. The boom of incoming fire sounded a split second before a shattering crash rent the air. Sal swiveled around, teeth bared as she took in the railing, which had just been blown to bits by the guns on the deck of the nearest corporate galleon. Fuckers were trying to put holes in her ship.
Very bad idea. You really don't want to put holes in Salome's ship.
Hard engine pull, Salome ordered, turning back to the direction they were headed. Up ahead, the fog bank that usually shrouded the barrier reef that surrounded the inhabited archipelagos under corporate control loomed across her field of vision. The waves were growing choppier, and Sal had to double-check her map and compass, adjusting course. Yeah, Miss Bossy Pants, Kuma grumbled, the infusion mark on his forearm glowing once more as he played with his console. Sal left him to it, focusing entirely on what lay ahead. Sailing near the reef wasn't as dangerous as sailing outside it, where wild and unpredictable storms and currents made ships vanish without a trace, and monsters swam in the depths. It was, however, still a risky play. There were lots of places where a ship could crash right into the underwater mountains that protected the archipelagos. Paired with the mist that had hid obstacles, sandbanks, and other dangers, only shallow-bottomed and quick ships like the Legacy could hope to survive it. This section of the reef was one Sal sailed in often on her way to and from Sonder and on her way to the Spire, but even hundreds of trips hadn't made her less twitchy about it. Sal, reinforcements incoming. 12 more ships just ported in. I think you have them convinced, her brother warned. Finally. Took them long enough. All hands, tie down. Kuma, now. Aye. He set the engines to full throttle. Salome let out a wild laugh while the ship rocketed forward with the infused power and speed of a conflictor. Kuma had infused the batteries with a solid charge only a week ago, so it was fresh and it was wild. The sails were fully open. The wind and engines worked together to widen the gap between them and the enemy as the Legacy headed straight towards the reef's edge. Corporate vessels fired again, but the Legacy was zooming out of range faster than they could react. Get ready for the turn, Kuma. As soon as we hit the fog bank, we're heading north and your decoy goes south. Get moving. Her brother did. He knew his trick. Salome would get the corporation to think she had disappeared into the fog in the direction she was headed, and instead would use the fog banks at twilight to scoot off elsewhere. All Kuma had to do was release a decoy signal and hide their presence while they waited to see if the idiots fell for it. Well, that and pull off a 180-degree turn on a dime. Easy, right? Marked hand still on his console, her brother knelt to pull a small buoy attached to a jetpack out from a cubby. Hello, my little friend. Ready to pretend to be us? Please don't tell me you named another machine, Kuma. If I don't name them, how can I trust them? He teased, pressing a few buttons on a small device welded onto a cage around the buoy as they entered the fog bank. This is Get Out of Fucking Dodge, otherwise known as Goofed. That is a horrible acronym. You seriously need a girlfriend, Kuma. You're clearly too bored. Okay, now. Hard turn north, she shouted, loud enough for the whole crew to hear. Kuma tossed, shudder, goofed over the side, and at the same time slammed a button on the console. Salome waited just long enough to be sure her crew had hold of the sails, and then spun the wheel. Phase. The hull became immaterial, skating through the water as though it wasn't there. The whole boat twisted near 90 degrees, but that still wasn't enough. Heading towards the raging ocean beyond the reef while going at this speed was not going to end well. Rear kinetic drift, she ordered. Kuma sighed loudly, then lowered a level. All motion stopped at the back end of the ship, sending a prow swiveling even further north like the weight at the end of a pendulum. There was phase drifting, and then there was this. The sudden and sickening crunch on her insides as the sails and rudders shifted to turn the ship another 90 degrees in about 3 seconds flat. Sal had to brace to keep her footing, but her hands never wobbled on the wheel. Now gun it again and get us some cover. They were off like a light, though it took Salome's stomach several seconds to catch up. What do you want us to be today, a fishing vessel? Kuma asked, flicking the small screen on his console as it scrolled through code. He had already activated the shielding on all the electrical and infused systems. Sal could smell it in the air, a certain ionized tang that made her mouth feel dry. Now it was just a matter of making the Legacy appear as something other than a pirate vessel to any corporate sweeps. You did a fishing vessel last time. Well, it worked? For all of one day, Kuma. Fine. How about a brothel ship? Wouldn't mind finding one of those for real after all this blows over. Ugh, fine. The way her nose wrinkled up at the thought made him grin. Salome turned to glare at him. Wipe that smug smile off your face. You're my big brother. I'm allowed to not want to picture you having sex. He cut the engines, the Legacy slowing, but still maintaining a good amount of momentum. Just think about it. We make this ship breathe like a brothel, and you can go off and get some nookie with your mender while this all blows over. Beautiful symmetry. Shut up, Kay. I mean, he's got a really cute rear end. Sal shifted so she could hold the wheel with one hand and used the hard prosthetic hand to cuff the back of his head. He laughed in response, twisting out of reach of another blow. The fog was heavy enough that she couldn't see much beyond him, so as much as Sal would have liked to follow and kick his ass for the comment, she turned back to her map and instrument pan.
I love Kuma and Sal. They are... I think that is one thing that I just had so much fun with when writing this was the fact that all of our groups basically start out as dynamic duos.
They really do.
And then you just get to pile the dynamic duos on top of each other and see what the fuck happens.
A blurring until it becomes this.
Yes. So we have some exciting news. If you like that, it is free ebook. Go get it on Amazon. Link is below. It is a ton of fun, and it is currently number one in, what was the category again?
LGBT action and adventure.
That one. Number one in the free bookstore. We're so excited. This is, for me, the very, very first time that something that wasn't a like big anthology made it to a number one spot. So I am thrilled.
I can check the current on it. One moment.
But we are sitting in number two for, what was it, like pirate action?
So we are
Yes.
number one in LGBT action and adventure, number two in cyberpunk sci-fi, and number three in sea adventures fiction.
Which just clearly is a combination that should not exist, because this book is genre breaking and broke me this summer, but I love it. So we are going to absolutely take any questions that people have about our writing process, about NACL, about all of it. We're going to goof off here for like as long as we feel like goofing off, or I have coffee. So make yourselves at home, ask questions, have fun. Yes, yes. I have coffee. Erica has energy drinks, and I think this says everything you need to know about the two of us and our working relationship.
So, Allegra here in the gorgeous Christmas sweater is plot mom. She is the organizational fiend. She also holds the power of no in our relationship.
It's
Someone
true.
to, so.
Yes. I make that sacrifice so that you may be the wild hurricane of chaos and wonderful ideas that you are. Erica just sweeps in with, what if? And then I say sometimes yes, and more often, no.
But no. But it would, no.
No.
You can do a headcanon doc for 5 minutes.
Yes,
Okay.
you have 1,000 words. Go get it out of your system. Go over there. But every once in a while, hey, do you want to like use our salty energy and read a whole book about it? Can't remember which one of us actually ended up deciding that we wanted to be salty in the book as well as outside of the book. But it happened.
That was you.
Was it?
Yeah.
I can't even remember.
It went
wrote
something.
This in 6 weeks. It was a very, very full 6 weeks.
It went something along the lines of, we didn't get to keep our thread on the forum the way we wanted to. Fuck it, we'll finish it in Google Docs. Halfway through, we're like 80,000 words in, and Allegra goes, you know, we could turn this into a book if we just like change some of this. No, we can't. Yes, we can. We're basically there anyway. Fine,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, the fact that we turned it from like fantasy, like hardcore, just straight out fantasy, like in a desert, to freaking ocean punk science fiction with computer hackers was a little wild, even for us. Still not sure how it happened.
That's my brain.
Well, I have the next one we're going to read, and I think you're going to like this one. Erica, I'm reading the Mo and Lizzie chapter.
Which one?
Chapter 34, and it's only very, 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 very mildly spoilery, but, you know, be warned. And by mildly spoilery, I mean nothing actually happens in this chapter other than hilarity and, you know, some people arriving in a place. So, be warned. Hilarity is going to ensue. Promise of Adventure, Chapter 34. Mo, Day 9. Mo was watching the storm. It was a beautiful formation of clouds, water, and wind. Awe-inspiring even to Mo, who had seen wonders beyond imagining. Maybe only to him. Lizzie always seemed so bored with the storms. So they killed tons of people. Often the most beautiful things were the most deadly. And it wasn't as if the storms did it on purpose. They were storms. They just were. Lizzie, he said. "You really should come watch this with me. And don't pretend like your eyes aren't working. You got the last bottle of wine all by yourself." He raised his glass to his lips, smiling and bemused as he watched the wind twist the clouds into something resembling sheep's wool on the flickering monitor. The wind was picking up. Fantastic. Not for the first time, Mo found himself grateful for the cave, and for the looted batteries, piles of entertaining shinies, and the hundreds of screens displaying sights from all over the islands. There were even a few security feeds from the Crystal Palace, corporate HQ, and the university, though they kept flickering in time with each fierce gust of wind. "And why should I come look at a storm halfway across the world on a puny screen?" Lizzie asked from where she sat on the dinner table, the wreckage of a meal spread out before her. Mo turned his attention to the dozen or so monitors in front of him, each filled with densely packed notes. "You're not going to want to miss this, Lizzie dear. This one might as well be made of flying wheels of cheese, or walruses, or even glitter. It's special. By the way, I'm about to lock down my files. Don't want Kumano hacking into them when he gets here and starts getting ideas. Well, those sorts of ideas. Do pass the wine, won't you, Lizzie dear?" Mo stretched, long limbs pointing towards the cavern's ceilings and floor as he yawned. Today, his outfit of choice was a pair of pink polka-dotted pants and a neon green striped shirt, topped with a wool cardigan embroidered with the words, "Mo is short for God," on the back. He caught her looking and grinned in Lizzie's direction as she popped a ripe rambutan between her lips. "Then again, perhaps your odd little mind is entranced by odd little things, like a cat with a crinkle toy. By the way, my cat is regularly digging her claws into my legs, so if you see me just wince and die, it's because I have a 6-month-old kitten who thinks my leg is a plaything and has really sharp claws. So please forgive me if I scream at any point during this. I'm next to the Christmas tree and therefore in prime danger zone. "I suppose if something like a little storm isn't entertaining enough to entice you over here, I could go get the wine myself, though it's always so much better when you do it. It infuses it with such a pleasant aftertaste of the patriarchy." "Please," she scoffed. "You just want me to get the wine because you know you'll fall flat on your face if you try." Lizzie smirked and raised her drink to her lips again, narrowing her eyes on the dark spot on the horizon. "Is that?" Mo's lips turned upward, amusement and pleasure warring for dominance. Lizzie always looked so surprised when his predictions were right. It was charming. She knew too little of the universe to be jaded just yet, despite the thousands of years she'd been at Mo's side. "The wind carting gray sails on storm-tossed seas? Why, yes it is. I wonder what little secrets are on their way." Mo rubbed his hands together, then bounded to his feet. "Get dressed, darling. Time to go say hi to our guests." Lizzie looked down at herself, where she sat at the table in underpants and a cut-down t-shirt. "Why?" "Because it's not considered polite to be half naked in front of people, and we want them to like us." "But you're planning on getting most of them killed." "Yeah," Mo shrugged, "but we don't want them to realize they're just disposable pawns. They need to think they're the protagonists of this shindig, even though it's well known that I'm the hero of the story." "Please, you're more like the monster that occasionally flounders in a way that makes people have good lives." She rolled her eyes, rising to her feet and moving resolutely towards Mo. "Here, hold my wine. I'm going to go put on something pretty, because if I'm right, I want to be dressed classy while they mess up all your plans like a herd of cats. You always get hopelessly attached to your pets." Mo took the wine, draining it in one large swallow. I'll hold it for you. You should put on the green dress, the one that makes you look like one of those funky beetles from Tyr. Man, those things were neat, especially the flesh-eating part. Are you sure it would break the laws of the universe to bring just a few here and release them at Crystal HQ? He pleaded, batting his eyelashes. "Not the laws of the universe, the laws of my patience," Lizzie replied, leaning down to press a kiss to his cheek. A few minutes later, Lizzie returned, beaming and fluffing her hair a bit here, a bit there. She twirled about in a little green dress she'd picked up from their last shopping trip. Well, by shopping trip, Mo meant the last time he had murdered someone while Lizzie poked around his victim's apartment. But why get bogged down with semantics? Lizzie did a little twirl. What do you think? Mo looked towards her. The green dress went down to her knees and hugged her torso, held up by a halter-style neckline. Her hair was in loose ringlets, brushing the top of her shoulders. His eyes flashed with annoyance. Then he looked away again, bored. Makes you look 12, but considering you usually look 10, you're mean. She stuck her tongue out. Mo's eyes went back to the monitor. Ooh, is that a corporate galleon behind them? Galena must really have her panties in a twist. He watched lightning chase the clouds through the sky above the prow of Salome Parada's ship. A bolt struck a rock close by, sending shards flying. Ooh, that was a nice one. I wonder how loud it was on the ship. I'd be able to answer that if you ever took me out in the storms. Why don't you, Mo? A flash of pain tore through him, but Mo honestly didn't know why. Pushing it aside, he swiveled his seat to face Lizzie. Because I hate swimming, and you're a klutz. You'd fall overboard, and then I'd have to actually get off my lazy ass to rescue you. Then again, could always let you drown. I'd finally be rid of Mo do this and Mo do that. Actually, that's a great notion. He sprang to his feet. Let's go. Now? I just got my nice dress on. If we go swimming, it will get all gross. Also, for the record, don't pretend you hope I die. There's been plenty of opportunities for that, and you always end up preventing it. You love me. We both know it. Mo graced her with a rare smile completely devoid of any insincerity or mischief. You're right, Lizzie darling. Yours is the only life in the universe that isn't dull beyond compare. The depths would get sick to their stomachs if I fed you to them. Come on. We have guests coming in. We best give them our warmest welcome. Besides, who knows how long it will take me to make that kind of pinpoint jump. Targeting a moving boat in the middle of a storm isn't easy. Let's hope they don't drown in the meantime. He held out a hand to her, and his heart quickened as it did every time she took his offered promise of danger and discovery. Shall we go on an adventure? Wasn't that why Lizzie had chosen him, after all? The chance to go anywhere, at any time, to see all the marvels of creation and be able to finally comprehend that which she was? Lizzie placed her small, delicate fingers in his. Always and forever, Marahem Crystal. Always and forever. They poofed out of existence, leaving behind only a ring of powdery white salt.
Can I just say, I love Mo and Lizzie.
Yes. Mo and Lizzie are us. I mean, that's why we love them. They're just us.
Are you Mo or am I Mo?
I'm definitely Mo. The
Okay,
less chaotic of the two.
That's fair too. So I decided instead of going forward through the book, I was going to go back near the beginning.
Very good notion. Before you do, I want to talk about the other freebie that we have out today. It is, so if you've read our work, you know that we don't mind getting hot and steamy portions. Some of them very steamy. My father read this recently, and I have, yeah, that was fun.
So for anyone who does not know, her dad is a professional artist. She did an interview with her parents on Plot Mom's channel a couple weeks ago, if my time's not completely off. And they're the most delightful, sweet people I've ever met. They're a fairy tale in the flesh. It's not fair. And they're amazing artists. They're amazing artists. And her dad apparently really liked one scene that you don't necessarily want your parents to read when they realize you wrote it.
And then we got our first fan art
of a very not safe for work scene.
From my dad. So our first fan art is officially erotica, and it is done by my father, and I couldn't be prouder. It's beautiful artwork. It's gorgeous.
It's amazing. Like,
we have a
dropping fan art.
Audience
that happens
member
to be a sex scene.
Oh, kid, it's always weird when the rents read your work. Yes, it is. I mean, I'm very open and with my parents. They read most of my work. but that's always the parts where I'm just like, you are now knowing more about me than I necessarily needed you to know, because it gets kinky in an ACL.
It does.
Like,
it does.
It gets real. We spoilers slightly, but we have a sex scene where people are actively like falling off a skyscraper in the act. Hello to the lovely peoples. We have some new folks on the channel, which is wonderful. Hello, everyone. Yeah, I mean, the whole point of the NACL sex scenes were to, one up the Where Shadows Lie sex scenes. And because there was a, dragon back sex scene in Where Shadows Lie, we needed to find a way to,
That's kind of an exaggeration. That wasn't why I wrote the sex scene.
Yes, I mean, you wrote the sex scene because, because my character dragged your character up to the top of a skyscraper.
I wrote the sex scenes for character development, but happened to be cackling madly when I saw how they were going. And let me tell you, the housemate learned to sleep, because otherwise he never would.
But all of that is to say that I do write some fairly steamy stuff on the side. I don't do it as me. I do it as Naya Ferrera. It is ridiculous. It's all these sex scenes that don't make it into my other books, plus some extra. And it is also free today. We are doing a whole bunch of freebies around the holidays because we love giving out free books, and it's great. So if you like Victorian, Gothic, kinky as fuck romance, but mostly erotica, this is for you. If you don't like any of these things, please don't go download it. It will scar your eyes. So, I almost published this with the pen name Marahem Crystal. Because I liked interconnective bullshit like that, but I decided not to. I am, however, planning a series where I'm seriously considering having Mo be the author and like annotating the entire text with Mo notes. So yeah. Anyways, Erica, I think you have our next segment.
I do. Chapter 3. And I will not read the whole chapter because that would be very spoilery, but Chapter 3, Boat Theft, is hilarious.
Actually, before you do, I have a question. Do you have any significant advice for those not sure if science fiction and fantasy is really for them? Yes. Yes, I do. First of all, there's so much science fiction and fantasy. I would look and see what it is you do like. Like, if you read a lot of, like, political thrillers, try to find a fantasy that is a political thriller. If you really like romances, consider, like, a science fiction or fantasy romance. Find a genre that you already enjoy a lot, and then read the fantasy and science fiction equivalent of it and see if that isn't the right, like, introduction to the larger genre. It's really just an umbrella category. The sub niches are where it's at and where you might find something that you really enjoy.
If you like action adventure-y kind of stories, but you want a modern fantasy take, I cannot recommend Kim Harrison enough. Holy shit, Dead Witch Walking was amazing. And if you like romance, but you want to throw fantasy in there, anything by C.L. Wilson. Holy crap, I fell in love with her. She's also a fantastic presence on Facebook. She interacts with her fan base a lot, which is unusual, I found, for anybody who is like traditionally published. But C.L. Wilson is really into just connecting to her fan base through her Facebook group.
And as far as writing, because Michael followed up as I write short stories, the act of writing a full book seems daunting and detracting. I have the perfect answer for you. Come join us. We do writing workshops. We have nightly writing sprints. We have all these different like beat sheets and fun activities and all that jazz. You can find the Plot Mom Discord link down below. I believe I put it there. If not, I will link it into the chat right now. And it is a wonderful, very active community of people. It is basically just every single day there's something ridiculous going on. We have again, we're in voice chat most evenings, writing. We're I'm an enabler. Every time someone says, "Oh, I have an idea," just say, "Okay, write a book." And then some of them do, and it's really funny to watch.
So, like I said, Allegra is Plot Mom. She motivates you. She gives the power of no very well. And if you do seek advice from her, she will give it. And she will mother you. A lot.
Until you have a novel. We just finished up these Nanowrimo. So in January, we're doing a short story activity where everyone's getting a free pre-made cover and we're writing stories to match them. They're being randomly assigned. So it's going to be a fun, like, prompted writing assignment. We're doing that in January. And then in the spring, we're going to do another novel writing thing. We're probably going to be doing some like NaNoWriMo finishing and revision at some point. We have a ton of fun. We get into so much trouble.
We were talking about doing the streamed writing sprints on book 2 of this, weren't we?
Yes, we were considering writing book 2 of this somewhat live, which is terrifying, but it would be a lot of fun. If anyone can do it, if anyone can write a book live on YouTube, it is the two of us. I'm just worried about, the general public seeing what our first drafts look like, because if you think that the final edition of this is wacky and wonky, you didn't see the beginning.
So the beginning was about half this size.
Yes.
And I was very strict with Allegra. It was one of my few mom moments where I went, no, we cannot go above 120,000 words. We cannot.
It's
and
true.
So we got through draft 0 and we just squeaked over 120. I think it was like 124 or something like that. And I was super proud because, according to everything I'd been reading, when you first go to release books, they're not like traditional publishing isn't really eager to like take the risk on something that's much bigger than 120,000 words. So I was like, we should try to keep it reasonable because I had seen what Allegra's first book looked like.
It's true. It's a big one. It's 240,000 words. The font on this is tiny.
So I had seen and I had heard the pain and anguish that went into that. So I was like, we're going to be reasonable. We're going to aim for 120,000. So we get done with draft 0. We had beta readers dig through it. We had them tear it apart. We took what they suggested. We realized where we had mucked up. And we were like, okay, so we have some bones. Now it's time to do surgery on the bones and add meat and flesh where necessary. It is no longer 120,000 words.
No. You see, Erica's blunder was that she had a rough summer. And at one point she said, yes, do whatever you want. You're fine. And she stopped mothering me as far as word counts went. So it crept up to 140 and then 150. And then sometime in August when I was proofreading, I kind of called her and said, Erica,
it's 186,000.
And yeah, there was no going back from that. So it's a long one.
You know what? I don't regret it. It came out great.
It did. We needed some flesh in like the later parts. We had been so excited to get to the ending that we ended up like skipping all this character development on the way.
Huge tip, guys. If you're writing a story, everything that's in your head you must remember to put on the page.
Yeah, you can't just assume readers are going to magically be able to read your mind and be like, oh yeah, no, this relationship totally progressed. Why are they, oh, we never mentioned that they were like back together, did we?
Oh no, I think my favorite was we completely forgot to describe on the page what each of the characters actually looked like.
Mm-hmm. I'm so bad at that, though. We just got a beta read back for A Bond of Thread, which is the first of these like fairy romances that we're doing in a whole group. And the feedback is, okay, well, the romance is solid on my co-author's side. You know, he describes the protagonist that I write really, really well. His feelings are moving forward. She seems completely like... No, she never describes him, and she just kind of is paying attention to the plot and not really to him until they're suddenly kissing. And I'm just like, yeah, that's me. That me. It's my fault.
So I'm going to be making checklists now for Allegra specifically to be like, what color is their hair? What color are their eyes? How round and curvy or not are they? Like, I'm going to make her hyper focus on details ad nauseum because it's easier to take things away.
It is. It's not, though. For me, it's not. I'm very bad at that. I tend to expand by 30 to 50% during edits, not retract. So this might come to bite you later. But yeah, no. I tend to, when I write, I'll write like all the action and all the dialogue, and then I just write in brackets description here for future Allegra, thinking that future Allegra will want to write descriptions, and future Allegra doesn't want to write descriptions. She's super, super bitter, salty about past Allegra, like all the time.
Usually I find the highlighted sections and I go,
yeah,
Allegra. What are we doing here?
Pretty much. Someone said, for me, the hardest part is endings. You've done 100,000 plus words and everything has to make sense right then. Everything. Sense. Now. Yes, this is the panic-inducing moment. You're right.
My tip, how I generally do this, is I have a very broad idea of what the ending's going to be. I know my beginning and I know my ending. And everything I do in the middle is all pantsed with the knowledge that I have to get here. So,
whereas I'm an adrenaline junkie who likes to write herself into corners and then have to pull an ending out of her ass. And it's super stressful. I don't recommend it. Don't do it, kids.
It's fine if you're co-authoring, because then you can usually have one of you be like, it's okay, I know how to fix this.
Yeah. I'm struggling through the sequel to Where Shadows Lie, and I'm just kind of in a constant state of, why did I write? Why did I set this up? Why? I can't. No. Oh, God, help me. Ah! That's my life.
It's fine.
Plus a Christmas tree.
And a cat with sharp claws. Okay. Boat theft. Lonnie. Day 2, Chapter 3. It wasn't yet dawn when Lonnie woke to an elbow in the ribs and the whispered word, company. Her eyes snapped open, but otherwise Lonnie didn't move, not even to ease the ache in her back from sleeping in such an awkward position. As she came to, Lonnie could hear the crunch of footsteps moving closer. There were at least 2 people and they were talking. There's blood over here, one said in a high, nasally voice. Please let the bitch have gotten pulled back out and eaten. She had to have passed out at some point, right? And a second, I don't want to fight her. Maybe. Conflictors just keep going till you nail them to the wall, though. I wouldn't put it past her to be alive and hiding here with a rock, ready to bash our brains out. Lonnie's companion had, in fact, just picked up a rock. They exchanged a look, And despite the horror of the situation and the fact that they were likely about to die, the conflictor smirked, and Lonnie found her own lips twitching up as well. The pair of hunters moved closer, still talking. I say we just tell the office we saw her sink and call it a day. It's not like she can do much damage out here without a boat. She'll die of thirst or starve, so it won't even be that much of a lie, the same man continued before his colleague interrupted him. Yeah, and then we'll end up mining instead of guarding miners when HQ sends an emotive to investigate. No, we stay until we find a body. There was blood on the beach and a clear trail. Just keep your eyes open and think of the reward if we bring her back alive. It made Lonnie's head spin to hear the woman's story confirmed this way, but she didn't have time to think about it. The much more urgent matter of survival took up the bulk of her thoughts. Besides her, the conflictor was on all fours. Before she could spring out of hiding and get them both killed, Lonnie shot out a hand to grab the woman's arm, then shook her head as their eyes met. The corpse's eyebrows rose. FYI, there's a reason she's called that, but I'm not telling you. Lonnie pointed to the mark on her own calf, then in the direction of the voices. It got a squint in reply. Just stay put, Lonnie mouthed, then focused inward. She could have tried to communicate psychically with the woman, but if either of their guests was marked, there would be a chance they might pick it up. Psychic communication between bonded could be private, or so Lonnie had heard. Otherwise, it was like they were talking aloud if other marks were present. She was drained from yesterday, but even running on fumes, Lonnie's emotive mark had strengthened enough to alter the emotions of two people at close range. The flow of power was wispy at first, as she hunted around for her targets. And when she had them, she took stock of their emotional state. Worry, that was the predominant feeling in both, followed by irritation bordering on anger in one and panic in the other. Lonnie smiled. A gentle nudge lowered the curiosity and urgency in both of their minds. She was rewarded with, I've got to stop for a minute and drink some water. Why don't we have a seat? A few minutes won't hurt. The conflictor poked Lonnie in the ribs. She cracked her eyes open and saw the woman walk 2 fingers in the air in a demonstration of sneaking, then mime bashing her rock into what Lonnie could only presume was the back of their pursuers' heads. No, Lonnie mouthed. It's that word again, Allegra.
I know. It's the reason that I wrote Lonnie. And you wrote Vera. She is the voice of reason to the madness.
You sure you got this, weirdling? The corpse whispered. Shut up. I'm focusing. Just be ready to move, okay? Lonnie closed her eyes again and focused on the corporate man feeling the most fear. Slow but steady, she fed power to that emotion, pushing a little at paranoia, self-hatred, and any other distracting tendencies she could find. You know I'm screwed if we don't find her, right? I'm already in trouble with security for being late a couple times. What if he sent me on this assignment just to get rid of me? He said to his colleague. Lonnie turned her attention to the next one, pushing on his irritation, anger, and impatience while dulling any compassion he might feel for his colleague. Why the fuck should I care? You dug your own grave. My record's just fine. In fact, if we fail, I bet they blame it on your lack of discipline and I get off scot-free. Oh, that did not go over well. Lonnie tossed as much power as she safely could to get them furious at each other, and their resulting yells were music to her ears. You let me know when to take them. I got the big guy. The conflictor beside her whispered, and this time, when Lonnie opened her eyes, it was with an eye roll. No, you're fucking not. Just stay still. This becomes 10 times harder if they see you, Lonnie warned, then returned her attention to the two fighting and whispered as she worked. All right, now look the other way. Pay attention to the fight, yeah. Up with the focus, down with perception of your surroundings. Let's just get rid of all that loyalty, and then, perfect. Their shouts were reverberating across the aisle, and all she had to do was tweak a few things a little more before the sound of a fist striking flesh reached her ears. Nice job, weirdling. Now what? The conflictor asked as the argument between the two goons turned into a full-on fistfight. Lonnie smiled, took a deep breath, and then said, now we steal their boat.
I love those two. I love those two so much. They're such a good pair. I want to write more of them, Erica.
I'm working on it.
I know. So, Lonnie and Vera were where this all started. Like, absolutely. They were drawn from writing an RP that we had done in the past. And they are the
They are the core
Yes.
of
Especially
why this book exists. However, we found we could not do this book with just 2 characters.
we could not. We did try it first, didn't we? Like
For
the very
like
beginning for like
a
5
week?
minutes. Yeah.
For about a week, we tried to make it mostly like Lonnie and Vera
2
with
women
some
take
support.
on the corporation sort of, dynamic duo story. And then it got infected with other characters.
I wouldn't say infected.
Anything that involves Mo and showing up somewhere is an infection.
Okay, Mo is an infection. I will grant you Mo and Lizzie are an infection. But Torin was always involved with V.
Yes.
You knew Torin was going to be there because you can't have V without Torin.
It's true.
Sal was just fun in my head, and I threw her in there just to have fun with it, and then she turns into this big deal.
Salome is the protagonist of the novel. Like, Salome and Kuma are, in many ways, like, the protagonist of the novel.
So, big spoiler that's not as much of a spoiler as it might sound like. Salome and Kuma are the linchpins. They are the only reason anything is possible.
Yes. They don't, I don't think any of the characters realize just how important everyone else is. Other than Mo. Mo knows everything.
No, he doesn't.
No, he doesn't. He likes to think he knows everything.
He likes to think he knows everything. Lizzie knows everything.
Lizzie does know everything. It's been very interesting. For those of you who do not know, the world of NACL and the world of Where Shadows Lie are the same universe. They're different planets, but the same universe. So we have our, epic fantasy, and then we have our arcane punk pirates. And you know how I was talking about infection? Well, the pirates are infecting my epic fantasy. They keep showing up. They keep taking over the plot. I'm sitting there writing like this important, intense exchange, like this political. They're in this temple, and the most important people in this nation have gathered together, and they're talking, and then suddenly Mo appears, and he's wearing like distressed skinny jeans and a sequin top, and it's just like, you over here, and you over there, and you two don't kill each other, and I'm out now, and just disappears. And it's an infection. It keeps happening. Codex might show up. Who knows?
Codex is life.
Codex is life. Yes.
If you have not seen the book trailer, watch the book trailer. Because Codex is life.
Yes. Codex was a late addition. The whole Codex plotline initially was just one interlude at the very, very end of the book. And then during edits, we decided that this character was going. There's an interlude between every chapter, and it's found documents and footage because I'm a big fan of that kind of world building. It pretty much enters into every one of my books.
It's a way to give you the world without information dumping.
Yes, even though each of one of them is in some ways a mini info dump that's spread out enough that it's, people either love it or hate it. But it wasn't like clicking and connecting, so we gave it a framework, which is Codex. Codex is an AI waking up throughout the entirety of the book. In Codex's perspective, it's 13 minutes. Catching up to the events of the book.
Which takes place over months.
Codex's life. We're not going to say who Codex is because that's a big mystery, obviously.
You will learn it by the end of the book.
You will learn it by the end of the book. I really, really, really enjoy the process of readers I know reading it and being like, I know who Codex is. No, I don't. Oh, damn, it's not that I know who No. It has to be one of these. No.
The reactions when people finally figured out who Codex was. Mwah.
Yes. Like, as an author, making #1 spot today is pretty cool. Having a single reader write to me screaming because fucking Codex and no, I didn't was better. Every single time. It happens. I love it. No, and Codex might well infect the other worlds. I expect Codex will be the most common thread between all of these. Yeah. It was a trip writing this, and it's a trip that it's out. Like, sometimes I kind of wake up in a cold sweat thinking that I still have to, like, get this done. And I remember it's been out for like 3 months.
Well, fun story. Recently got to speak to an old family friend that I had sent copies of the book to for him and his wife because, you know, he was other than Joe, he was the other person who was reading it at the very start as we were writing it. And he was super interested in it, which I found very flattering because this particular family friend is a family friend in that he is Joe's friend, not so much my friend. He's also not the sort of person to pull punches, so if he doesn't like something, you definitely know he does not like it. So when he said it was awesome, I was like, I actually believe him. He has no reason to like, yes, you did good.
Those are the best readers.
They are. And I sent him the book. And he's like, I remember this being smaller. I said, yeah, it kind of grew. And he's about halfway done with it. And he's just like, I really like this, but you're an asshole.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'll be sure to pass that on. So it has been passed on, Allegra. You're an asshole.
Thank you. One. It's such a warm and fuzzy feeling. I'm gonna wear it like a sweater. Kit said, I agree, the best readers are the ones who like your book, but I also think that the best readers are the ones that aren't guaranteed to like your book. Just had a long talk about how I cycle through beta readers, because the moment a beta reader becomes a fan, they're really useful for picking up continuity errors, but they will never tell you the stuff that's actually wrong, unless they're like that unicorn beta reader who's still super, super critical, even though they love it. Those are rare and few and far between, and I have 1 or 2, and I love them to death.
So, my grandmother is trying to read the book.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. Grandma Lee, I love you, but I warned you that there was a lot of swearing in this book. And I mentioned that there was sex in this book, and she hasn't even gotten to sex yet. Biggest complaint from her, your world description is amazing. I really dig it, Erica. But they swear so much. And I was like, Grandma, it's a pirate book. I told you didn't have to get it. And she's like, I really want to finish it, but I have to take so many breaks because they swear so much.
Yeah. Like, my debut has an obscene amount of swearing for, like, not Game of Thrones fantasy. Like, this is, like, high political fantasy. 90% of the characters don't swear, and then there's that one character. One character who's just like, fuck. And so, you know, a lot of people will pick up Where Shadows Lie and read it all the way through, and then pick up NACL, and it's like, okay, is it about the same amount of, like, heat and swearing? And I'm just like, no. They're the same number of sex scenes, but they're significantly more graphic, and the swearing is just so much. It's so much. It is John Scalzi levels of swearing.
It is. So it's a pirate book. You cannot have pirates without some very, very interesting swear sessions. I believe we have. There's an interesting line from Salome in this book.
Yeah. Yeah, I do think that you sometimes like I think about writing like a clean version of NACL, just like, but a comedy clean version of NACL where all the swear words are just crossed out and like there are weird little handwritten annotations putting in like, instead of a string of F words, it's just sunshine and rainbows and, unicorns pooping glitter. Just something like that. I need to be really drunk to do this, but this is my dream. Like, a 10-year special edition is going to be NACL with Mo annotations in
PG-13 style, like Deadpool.
Yes, just ridiculous, stupid annotations. Yes, fiddlesticks, things like that. And I want it, but I don't want to do it.
I feel like pointing out, just I don't know that it would work, but it would be funny to watch.
Yes. But before we end here, because we think we've been here for like 55 minutes already, we should probably cut it at an hour. This book is all about being salty. We're salty about something. We've been making this the run at a number one spot, and the category we want doesn't exist because Amazon is kind of bullshit. See my Audiblegate videos for details on why Amazon is kind of bullshit. But we found out in our publication, not just this book, but also Where Shadows Lie, that there is no category for disabled protagonists. There's categories for LGBTQ protagonists. There's categories for pretty much like so many things. There's also so many missing. And one of the ones that is missing is disabled protagonists in anything at all. There's nothing. Apparently disabled people don't exist in books, or so says Amazon. So that's what we're salty about this holiday season. Anyone else salty about anything this holiday season?
Yeah, there is no category for a disabled protagonist. And one of the things we're super proud of is that Salome, the pirate captain, does not have an arm. She has a prosthetic arm. It's an amazing prosthetic arm. The story is her being badass, not because she conquers her missing arm. The arm's missing from the first time you meet her. It's that she's badass despite not having her arm. She's badass because, she wears a prosthetic, but she was badass before she lost her arm. So
she was badass afterwards.
Like, oh, my arm got removed. Well, my brother will build me a new one.
And I'll adapt, and I have a handsome boyfriend who's a doctor.
And she, there's mentions in the book of small little details that people who wrestle with chronic problems in life will pick up on and will like, because it's like, yeah, she has this prosthetic arm and it's amazing. It does fantastic things. She still takes it off because it makes her stump sore.
Yeah.
When she's relaxing, she pops that sucker off and sets it on the table and just bashes people over the head. Like,
you can't reach something, she's just like, yank, bap.
Yeah, it was this perfect thing because Salome is based on a character I wrote in the desert who has to chop her own arm off for a reason. And so when I brought her into this book, I was like, I want her to not have her arm. It's one of her, what's the word I'm looking? It's one of her things. It's part of what makes Salome Salome, is that she's one-armed and badass anyway. So just so you guys know, Salome the pirate captain, the best shot in the book.
Absolutely.
If she takes aim at you, you're dying.
She did not train at Stormtrooper Academy. No, and like like both of our, both of the big books, whether it's NACL or Where Shadows Lie, we're seeing these, awesome disabled protagonists at the helm. And I want to read more fiction with disabled protagonists. Part of the reason we both wanted to publish indie was so that there would be fantasy genre books that had disabled protagonists. And it's hard to find other books like this because there's no way to track them down on Amazon because it doesn't have it. So, yes, so much salt. I've been regularly writing emails to Amazon about this for like a year. I just occasionally like get the urge to yell at someone and go into my email. I'm just like, Amazon, you fucking ableist bastards.
So please, if you like the book, even if you don't like the book, leave a review about how awesome it is that there is a disabled protagonist. And
yeah, you can say, I hated this and despise the word fuck, but there was a cool badass pirate and she didn't have an arm and that was awesome. That's okay. Leave us a 1-star review. We don't care.
Just put it in there because we're trying to get the evidence mountain to throw at Amazon and be like, make us a fucking disabled protagonist list.
Yes, and if like Kit just said in the comments, if you know series that end up with disabled protagonists or have disabled protagonists, please mention that in your reviews and comments and review those books. Reviews, especially for indie authors, are our lifeblood. So if you read an indie book, especially, please go review it. Ours or anyone else's, it doesn't matter. Speaking of indie reviews, it is Indie-cember right now. If you do not know what Indie-cember is, it is a month-long bingo where the goal is to review indie books. There's a scorecard. You're trying to get, crosses or downs or all over the board. It's super fun. I don't think I have it linked below because I didn't think about bringing this up, but it's super great. Our books do qualify for several lovely several lovely categories within Indie-cember. I'm trying to pull this freaking thing up. There it is. NACL is a book over 500 pages with a title longer than 4-letter words. It's full of magic. It has 10 to 29 reviews. It was released in 2020. It has a white and blue cover and is the first in a series. So if you are doing Indie-cember, our book hits a lot of squares. It's fun, though. I am going to try to do this. I haven't actually, cracked open a book to read in an embarrassingly long time. I have all these books from indie authors who I love, which I really want to read, and then I don't. I am ashamed.
I've noticed this is an author problem, though.
It is. We're writing so much and we're reading our own stuff so many times, and we're just like, the written word is bullshit. Everything is wrong. Words are wrong. And then the worst part, you start editing other people's books in your heads.
Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah, I'll read something and I'm just like, oh, that word was repeated right here and right there. And I'm like, no, it's not my work. I cannot have this happen. I could just enjoy this book. Why can't I enjoy this? Because it's a good story and now I'm doing stupid things in my brain.
I found the way to fix this, Allegra.
How? How do you fix this?
Audiobooks.
No, I do it with audio too because I'm proofing audiobooks for Where Shadows Lie currently.
That's your problem. I don't do that. So
you will be when we do the audiobook of NACL. You will be. This is our working relationship.
If you guys didn't know, we are working on getting a narrator done for the audio version of NACL. I am personally very much looking forward to hearing someone manage all of the swear combinations in this book.
Yes,
and
me
not
too.
Laugh.
And if the audio narrator that we think we've gotten works out, he is fantastic. He runs a pirate-themed band. and is a musician, and so like pirates are his thing, and I'm so excited. Of course, Audiblegate is currently happening. Again, if you don't know what Audiblegate is, I do have some videos explaining it. On my channel somewhere. They're very big, they're very bold. But essentially, Audible is currently screwing over authors so much.
And narrators.
So much. And we're all very, very angry. And if I don't seem angry right now, it's because I've spent literally months being incredibly pissed. And my anger has gotten very quiet. It's mostly just exhausted at this point. But inside, I'm screaming.
It is salty Christmas.
It is salty Christmas.
It is the year 2020. We did not realize when we wrote the rough draft that our book would fit into 2020 so well.
Yeah. We were like, let's write some fun revolutionary pirates. And we didn't expect to like write a narrative that actually fit the current revolution, which is corporations get rich on essential things during a crisis. Because that's what this book is about. That's what's happening in the real world.
This was not planned. No. We could not expect a pandemic.
Yeah. I was in the middle of like a pandemic book when this started. And then it was like, no, I can't write about the Black Death in Florence right now. I want to write my sweet food witches romance around a pandemic where everything is horrible, but at least people have each other in isolation. But then I couldn't actually, like, my nerves kept killing me every time I tried to write this. And I stopped.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those things that we tackle later.
Disaster capitalism. That is, in fact, yeah, no. I mean, the whole point of NACL was what happens when the main characters are absolutely kind of doing an eco-terrorism.
No, they aren't kind of doing an eco-terrorism.
Well, it's
they
only
are
kind
absolutely
of
doing an eco-terrorism.
It's more. It's if we take eco and take it, like ecology and economics, they are absolutely.
So, I actually had a very interesting conversation with a guildmate last night about this book. And he's like, so I watched your book trailer and I'm curious. And I said, why are you curious? He's like, I'm very intrigued, but I'm also very curious because I actually know what happens when there is no salt. How do you have a planet that does not have enough salt? I said, this means I have to explain some of the meta to you. So I start explaining some of the meta to this guildmate who's just suddenly like, oh my God, this is amazing. How did you guys do this? I said, Plot Mom is really good at organizing.
Also, like, I'm on a high salt diet because I'm chronically sodium deficient, so I know exactly what it feels like to not have enough salt, and boy, is it not fun. Hypernatremia is horrible. Don't do it, kids. It's bad.
So, needless to say, someone who appreciates science and actually gets the biology of salt deficiency got our book yesterday.
Yeah, the meta is starting to come through, and it's really, really fun when I find, readers will contact me occasionally, like, oh, I read Where Shadows Lie, and I read NACL, and they're super different, and they're super, and I'm just like, but the meta is the same. The gods in one book are the same as the gods in the other book. And then they're just like, oh, shit. And if you reread Where Shadows Lie after reading NACL, it just reads completely differently once you know what's going on with these freaking gods, and you realize just how pompous and dumb the ones on Dracona are, and just again, it reads real differently, and also you'll spot Mo.
Can I just say, Ira and his sister, despite probably being among the younger in actual age, are probably the least arrogant And they're still pretty fucking arrogant.
Yeah, they're pretty arrogant. No, we haven't released this story yet or this world yet, but in our AO Collective. By the way, AO Collective publishing is a thing. If you are a writer and you like our worlds and want to get salty in them, we do co-writing and co-everything, and we are always open to submissions and new writers to come write in our sandbox with us. Again, the Plot Mom Discord is the best way to, get known to us and all of that jazz. But if you are looking for excitement and adventure and really wild things, we are always there for you. But in this collective, we have a lot of different worlds, and one of them is called Tyr. We mentioned Tyr a few times in NACL. And Tyr is a planet with one god. And it's the only planet in this collective with sentient alien life. And the alien life they've been named Spriggan. And what they do is they eat anything that isn't essentially metal or stone. They will literally sweep through a town, leaving nothing behind. They reproduce very, very, very quickly. And they will infest everything. And the god of that world, I think, is the least arrogant, because he's just spent his entire godhood alone just fighting back these stupid, monstrous, little, foot-tall demons, and is so tired. His name is Miles. One day I'm going to write the book of Miles, and it's just him, in a trench coat, drinking while the world burns around him for the 10,000th time.
It's fine. I'm fine.
I'm fine. I'm okay.
Every time I hear about the Spriggans, I think of Twig Jacks. They're a D&D creature, and they're terrible.
The Spriggan are horrible, and one day I'm going to infest another world with them, just for 5 minutes, just so people are just like, oh, our problems are really small. Please don't ever let these guys out again. Spriggan.
Oh, and then you have Lizzie, who will eat them.
Yeah, no, Lizzie will totally eat a Spriggan. While the Spriggan eats her from the inside out, because it's probably not dead, because these things never die.
I kind of want to write a headcanon doc for this now, Allegra.
I mean, will they get you writing? Because I'm down for this. We have so much headcanon. We are absolutely those writers who write fan fiction of our own work, because there's so many different avenues it could have gone. And what if this? And what if that?
I maintain that Kia and Gabe's brood is by far amazing.
Yes, it is. I'm just excited about moving all of that into Phalanx. Phalanx is our next big project coming up. It's these big fairy romances. They are ridiculous. The geography alone just breaks people. It's literally a mountain floating in an endless, inscrutable void. That's the setting. Directions are super complicated to give. Well, mountainside or rimside, up or down, where do you come from, you strange little 3-inch tall fairy?
Oh, wait. I don't speak your language. Let me go find somebody who can talk to you.
We've gone off the deep end, folks. We were already down there, but we're
And now we're talking about V showing up there. Are you insane?
I mean, it is in the same universe, so technically Mo could take Vera there for a date. Here, have some people to kill.
Let me watch.
Let me watch and get really, really aroused.
Oh, goodness. Never challenge Mo.
Yes. And on that, I think we should end it. Don't do it, kids. Thank you all for watching. We've been having a ton of fun. I will probably be back for more Christmassy shenanigans throughout the month. As a reminder, NACL Eye of the Storm is free as an ebook. Tell your friends, tell your family, especially tell your conservative uncle Bill, because it will break him. And
if he's anything like most people, he's going to skip past the first couple pages. And on page 3 is a giant page-long trigger warning. So
yes.
when he complains, he was warned. He just didn't read the warning.
So yes,
on purpose.
Do share this around. We're really, 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 really hoping that we make it to #1 in cyberpunk science fiction, because oh man, do we want to be there? And because we just want people to read and love our book, because we want to introduce people to the madness.
And if you read it, and if you have a favorite, please stop by and let us know who the favorite character is, because I'm keeping a running tally.
Yes. Also, feel free to come scream at us when you find out who Codex is. This is cathartic for everyone. I'm a glutton for punishment and like to be yelled at.
And I like to drink people's tears. It's fun.
Exactly. And then if you want even more smut and ridiculousness, The Auction House, Episode 1, The Garden of Virtue and Vice, is also free. It is a sexy, sexy, sexy gothic slightly horror romance about a person who commits a murder and runs to this creepy auction house because they will be safe there, but have to take the first job offered to them. So they end up as an escort in the very coveted Garden of Virtue and Vice. We have something for everyone, basically. Also, the paperback of Where Shadows Lie is down to $15, which is literally as low as I can make it on Amazon. That's, what I can do for the holidays. I'll probably be discounting the paperback of NACL as well over the coming days. And if you really, really, really want to support us and other indie authors, go do Indecember. Indecember is an amazing opportunity to support a whole bunch of indie authors, leave a ton of reviews, get known. We, a co-author Justin and I, are part of a fantasy anthology about villains that's also free as an ebook on Amazon, because free things are awesome. So that can be a great way to encounter a whole bunch of different authors. There's 22 authors in this. So if you're looking for someone whose style really speaks to you, anthologies are a great way to meet a whole bunch of authors as it would be, and then go find their stuff and read all of it. There are so many fantastic people out there. If you want recommendations, there's a Facebook group called Indie Fantasy Addicts. I absolutely, absolutely love it. It's so much fun, and there's always so many fantastic recommendations on there. And finally, for the last time, I'm going to plug the Discord server Plot Mom. We write and we read and we review and we beta read for each other, and we get up to shenanigans mostly. It's mostly shenanigans.
And if you're ever interested in trying to figure out how to co-author, because this seems to be something people have a hard time with, please come talk to us, because apparently we have figured it out.
Yes. No, absolutely. If co-authoring is something that you're interested in, we have a couple videos discussing our process as co-authors and how we do it, but we're also totally down for come to us as a pair and we can help set you up with all the resources we use and all that jazz. Because it's amazing. It's the most fun you'll ever have when you're writing with someone who's just as enthusiastic as you are about these amazing characters that you're working with. And with that, have a happy holiday season if you celebrate a holiday. If you don't, have a happy December full of, hopefully, indie books. And if a madman in crazy clothing with a companion child shows up in your house, please,
run.
Yes, don't take the time to call 911. Just run, because his name is Mo. and you don't want a moe infestation. All right, folks, have a good rest of your afternoon, and we'll catch you later.